Instructions for accessing subtitles in a language other than English are included on our board meetings webpage as well as in the description below. Instrucciones para acceder a los subtítulos en un idioma que no sea el inglés se incluyen en nuestra página web de reuniones de la Junta, así como en la descripción a continuación.
All right, welcome to the September 27th, 2023 Ross Valley School Board of Trustees regular meeting. We are located in the Ross Valley School District building, district office, and I am calling the meeting to order at 5:32. Trustee Hamilton is not here today, but the other 4 trustees are all in attendance. The first item on our agenda is closed session. There is no public here to comment on closed session agenda items. The items we will be discussing in closed session today are public employee evaluation, superintendent, and a conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9, subdivision D2 or 3, special education program dispute, 3 cases, students SSID 15112877075, SSID 32875384426, and SSID 971-184-8834. And I will recess this to closed session at 5:33. All right, thank you everyone, and welcome to the September 27th, 2023 Ross Valley School Board of Trustees regular meeting. Thank you all for being here tonight. It's nice to see so many familiar faces. So we are reconvening at 6:25 from our closed session. We have a partial report out from closed session because we were not able to get to all of the items, unfortunately. But we were able to take action on 2 special education program disputes, SSID 32875384426 and SSID number 971-184-8834. And now we will move on to item C on our agenda, procedural items, which is the Pledge of Allegiance and a democratic reflection or mission moment. Don't have much of a democratic moment except for just to say thank you all for being here and raising all of our future voters and all of our future community members, because what they're learning right now is going to show up later in our politics, and we're already seeing it filter through at Archie, at least me personally, and I love what I'm seeing from the kids coming up and out, and they're making big changes, and so you guys are educating those students, and I'm appreciative of that, so thank you. All right, now if you'd like to join us in the pledge, please stand. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The next item is to adopt the agenda and time allocations. Would somebody like to adopt it, or does anybody have any changes that we need to make today?
So moved.
All right. Motion? Would you like a second?
I'll second.
All right. Ryan?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Daniel?
Aye.
Rachel? Aye. All right. So we have an agenda. And our next item is item D, which is staff recognition. So this is where we get to welcome and recognize all of our district staff, our newly tenured staff, and our employee milestones. So
this is always the most fun. Well, besides when we have our students here, that's the second most fun, is when we have our spotlights on schools. But this is always a fun time and a very exciting time where we get to recognize employees. So thank you all for joining us. I'm going to turn it over to Julie Wolcott.
Awesome. Thank you, Marcy, and welcome everyone. We are so glad that you are all here, not just here this evening, but here in Ross Valley, and for many of you continuing to be in Ross Valley. And our principal team is going to be introducing our milestones, and we're going to begin with our new employees for by site. And so Amanda Wagner, Brookside Principal, if you would please start us off.
Well, before we can do that, can I just announce that for everybody, we have a new principal in our school district. So we're going to kind of go out of order a little bit, but we're happy to welcome Amanda Wagner back to our school district. in her new role as Brookside Principal. So thank you so much, Amanda, for joining us, and also for being here tonight to engage in our recognition of other employees.
Thanks, Marcy. Can I just stand here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So we have some new teachers. Erin Henderson, second grade teacher. Eric Lauder, who is our 3rd through 5th SDC teacher. We have Quintisha Simpson, who is a kindergarten teacher, and Milani Peterson, who is our transitional kindergarten teacher. New to Brookside.
And for Hidden Valley, Principal Fish.
Hello. Our new teachers are not here, but I wanted to introduce Annie Murdoch, who's our 4th grade teacher, and Heather Selby, 1st grade teacher, who's also a parent.
Okay, at Manor, we have Anna Barnett, 3rd grade teacher. Our English language development representative. And Claire Alonza, our 4th and 5th grade teacher.
All right. Julie Harris.
Okay. At Wade Thomas, we have Sam Marshall, but he's currently not with us right now.
Sam.
And Whitehill.
Not with us this evening, but we have Chris Cobos, a new 7th and 8th grade Spanish teacher, Laura Martinez, also a 7th and 8th grade Spanish teacher, and Allie Woollett, a 7th grade English teacher.
All right, and serving multiple sites, Eric Sable will be introducing.
Let's see. Oh, of course. We have for our new K-5 counselors who serves both Hidden Valley and Wade Thomas campuses is Sally Carrington.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Principal Christy Fish is going to did you
Oh, it's okay.
You got one more.
Go ahead.
School nurse Jennifer Hemmersky, who's also a Hidden Valley parent, and Stephen Sagasi and Alex Wall, who are PE teachers at Hidden Valley and Middle School.
Nice.
And excuse me, I said Jennifer Hemmersky is school nurse, but she's actually the district nurse.
Thank you. Do we do pictures of each group at the very end?
We can do it either way, anyway.
By group?
How would you all like
Let's
to
have
do it?
all of our new teachers, our new employees in Ross Valley, come on up for a group picture, please.
And then, why don't we step from around the tables, and then also if our principals can come up, so we'll go in the horseshoe area. And then principals will wait for you. We could have come around you. Yeah. It was a student. Harder for Chris. What elementary school? I can say.
Here, you want to go stand with that tall guy?
Sorry. Oh my totally fine. Totally fine.
I know, right?
All right. I'll go on this side.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Hi, thanks for
Splitting the middle.
I like to sit up and down.
Okay, 3, 2, and
Hold on.
I got it. 10 pictures.
Thank you.
Totally fine. And yay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Got hurt, had surgery. Snapped my fibula.
Ask the story, it's a great story.
The rock part was we'll keep our table separated so that you
Oh, do that
Okay. All right, so now we are going to recognize our newly tenured teachers in the Ross Valley School District. These are our teachers who have reached permanent status. And we are so very glad that they continue to be here in Ross Valley. And we'll start with Brookside.
We're very excited to congratulate Rachel Rosen, 5th grade teacher, who's here this evening.
Who drove all the way from Miller Creek tonight.
No, Walker
Creek, Walker Creek tonight to be here. Thank you for doing that.
Good coffee for the road.
And the kids are great. They're awesome.
Great one.
Sorry. It's not highlighted. Visual learner. Our newly tenured teacher is Christy DeCunha, 1st grade, who's not able to be here tonight.
And locked in at Manor School is Kristen Martucci.
And before Julie Harris announces her newly tenured teacher, we want to announce that Julie Harris is newly tenured.
And alongside me on this journey has been Lori Ladresh, our TK, amazing TK teacher.
We have 4 teachers at White Hill. They're not here tonight. Sean Laughlin, Jade Martin, Allison Wren, and Amber Wild.
And then we have, for a district-wide position, serving both Brookside and Manor, one of our amazing school psychologists, Carly Shakwa.
And if all of our newly tenured folk could come on up for their picture.
Do it again.
We're going to do it again.
This time I will do it.
Double dipping.
Get in all kinds of pictures.
Sometimes you let them see it.
I'm actually the winner.
I loved going to class, right? Open house last year. I was like, this is so good. It's so fun to be here.
Yeah.
Super cute. They're like fancy. They are. Sure. I'm up in here. You're okay.
Say that. That was the best part. All right.
Something right. Here we go, folks. 3, 2. Oh my gosh, get a couple more. Beautiful.
All right.
I usually feel like
There's something there.
it's already like kind of planned. Oh, and then I got the invitation. Okay, so then it worked out. It worked out good.
All right, and now for our milestone years of service, beginning with those who have reached the milestone of 5 years in the Ross Valley School District, and those folk will be introduced by head.
Okay, so for 5 years of service, we have Katie Ahrens, Rich Chicatelli, Lauren Cobran, Alex Obenchain. I think I saw him stand up. Bishop Palaretti, here. Lori Stuckey, and Meredith Woodward.
Okay, for 10 years, we have Jean Carjulia, Mel Hickman, Sarah Horkey, Tim Lynch, Meg Maher, Janet Mercer, Lyle Stover, Bianca Vidal, and Tyler West Higgins.
Fantastic. 15 years of service, Nicole Diostato, Kara Griffin, Alicia Hanks, who actually has 16 years, Kate Harden, Sandra LeBeau, Michelle Pelton, Yana Pierce, and Deanna Sotis.
delay.
I'm proud to announce those with 20 years of service in the district. We have Anna Schnell. Meredith Williams. And Jose Manuel Rodriguez Rivas.
Rounding it out with having completed 25 years of service in the Ross Valley Dan McLaughlin. Of you and all of those listening to reach their 25, 30. Can I go for 30, Dan?
No place else to
Gotta
go.
go. 35, 40.
You do that.
Do it. All right. Thank you. Need a picture of all the milestone years.
We've got walkers. Because we brought chairs for this picture.
So you're still laughing about the Mojo Dojo classroom, by the way? Still laughing about that in our household.
I'm super happy to have you back.
Elena's like, I know who drew it. Yeah,
I think we have to go.
We were the short
I mean, let's be honest, you know. Stand in front of these two colleges.
Okay.
Come on, put my head in the middle of them. You can walk. Oh, no, you can stand up. Stand up.
Wow.
Well done.
If I can get back up.
And get a few here. Huge smile. Good baby. Good baby. Good job.
I was just gonna say, I'm like, sorry.
Prepared some lovely refreshments in the foyer. All right, so let's all party now. Let's go out to the foyer.
Oh yeah. Are you?
All right, and thank you. We are back from our recess, celebrating our staff. And our next item on the agenda is communication and public comment regarding items not on the open agenda session items. I don't know if we have anyone in the public who would like to speak. Does look like we do not. And then we have anything that was sent to us via email posted on our board docs, Marcy?
Correct, yeah, as of last Friday, the 22nd.
Okay, perfect. All right, and then moving on, since that's the correspondence and communication piece, we are at F, presentation and/or action items. And the first item we have is the presentation on the summer 2023 facilities project.
And with that, we are going to invite Des McKissock up to give the presentation this evening. And so what we're going to do is we're going to be showing some photos of a lot of the sites before and after, the different projects that Des and his staff worked on over the summer. It's good so that the public can see kind of the things that he's doing, because oftentimes things can be missed in terms of the different things that are getting accomplished during the summer. And so without further ado, I'll turn it over to Des.
Thanks for giving me the opportunity to come and speak to you tonight. Our maintenance department undertook a host of projects on our campuses over the summer. Many of them are planned, but others, as is the nature of school maintenance, were born out of necessity. Last winter's excessive rainfall forced our hand to reprioritise many projects. And given the restrictions of the school calendar, we have a small window of opportunity to access our campuses, to undertake such projects, and here are a few of the ones that we completed. Take a look at our slides. water main leak in the worst possible location underneath the curb at the drop-off area at Brookside. We did all the preparatory work and it's a nice clean finish there.
Just if I could add one thing, this project, just to find it, we had known that we had an issue, but we couldn't determine where it was. And during the summer, as soon as the kids were out of school, we brought in 2 different companies. It took 2 different companies to find where this leak was. That's how hidden and in a bad location it really is.
It's interesting too, you see the state of that pipe, it looks like it's from 1850.
I went too far.
And you just had to replace that one section?
Yeah, that one section. There was another section that was replaced, I want to say 3-4 years ago. If there was another break, we would have to look at replacing that entire line. It goes out to the street.
The street, towards the entrance.
How long
of
is that lateral?
It's got to be 120 feet, 140 feet, Ryan.
And when you talk about this, you're talking Brookmead Court?
Yes.
That street,
yeah.
This is actually right in between the multipurpose room and the office, right on the...
Right, yeah. So it runs under the parking lot, not along the fence, right?
Basically, it does run along that sidewalk there.
Fence. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the backside of building 1, the fascia there. This is a result of the winter rains. It's replaced 160 feet of compromised fascia and some roofing on the top of that as well. We just finished painting that on Monday. So my department does a lot of the preparatory work and the finishing work, and we bring in contractors to take care of the heavy hitting stuff. So this is an example on the NPR roof of a poor application of a previous coating. So we remove it, we water blast it, we clean it, and we're now putting in a more resilient silicone compound.
How old is that roof?
When was the NPR? It was built in the 80s, but there's been a couple of repairs on it, Ryan. But like I said, poorly applied.
Did you redo the whole thing or just that patch?
We just did areas that were compromised. So basically, any loose coating, we take it back to a point where it's adhered, and we clean those areas, and then we apply like a silicone product.
And I don't remember exactly what the remodel looked like back in the 1999 bond, but the NPR was part of that 1999 bond.
Okay.
So the roof is probably...
23 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
And those roofs right there generally are 25 to 40-year roofs with the type of application.
Is there any drawback to doing the whole roof instead of just patching it when it goes bad?
Well, we have to go out for bid for that, but the rest of the roof is in good shape. This was
do a review of the entire roof.
Yeah.
The cost benefit is.
Yeah. So the actual, you'll see on the right hand picture where the soffit is, the roof of the NPR itself, that needs to be replaced next summer. So that would be a priority.
So the whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll wait to the end. Well, no, I'm not going to wait to the end. Do you have, when I walked all these sites, and I went over this with Brett years ago, I asked him, and he had so much institutional knowledge of everything because he'd been on the job so long. You wondered how much of it was just by memory.
Yeah.
Is there a system in place to document things to say, and we'll see this tomorrow, why I wanted to go meet for tomorrow's run, are we like when we're here, let's just say, for example, we're on this roof fixing this thing. Does this get into a category or a report saying, hey, this is the last time I had eyes on this and we did this. We assume this should be revisited in blank amount of years. Is there a system where the things that you know are going to need maintenance, do they get into some sort of file or some sort of database in order to be reviewed so that you don't just have to oops, it's leaking, let's go look at that. Is there a way to be proactive on those items as opposed to reactive when something happens?
I'd like to get to that point, Ryan.
Yeah.
I've only been here like 22 months.
Yeah.
And I'm just, this stuff that I'm finding out, and we're reacting at the moment as opposed to being proactive. But I'd like to get to that point where we do have a 12-month plan and a 5-year plan of what we intend to do.
Yeah, or when you discover something, you write a report and shove it in the plan somewhere so the next time you got to pick something up, that doesn't have to be relooked at. You got a last time you were there idea of what happened and what it needed.
But just going back to what I said about last winter's excessive rainfall, we do a walkthrough in October, pre-first rain, to make sure all our roofs and gutters and that are operating efficiently, and you'll make a note and take some photos. And I went back in April and I'm just like, wow, this has deteriorated so much in the last 6 months. So therefore that's that reprioritising that we've done for this summer.
Right.
Next year, like I say, the NPR roof, that needs to get done next summer. That has to be done next summer. So that'll be a major CapEx item.
And are you being able to put these items, do you come forward to Chris and say, hey, this is the tier 1 things I recommend we do, make sure we do before it costs us this much money. To not do this is going to be red item, or then this might be the second tier item, and then this is the luxury item. If we're here and we're doing this, we might as well put this in with it because we're already here, kind of thing.
And a lot of it comes to, I'm familiar with Kupka, a lot of it comes into the bidding process and that, and just given the cost, I've got the cost of roofing and asphalting right now, Ryan, is exorbitant. You know, so we're trying to undertake these minor projects within our own department. You know, I come from a roofing background. I bring in contractors that have 40 years experience, and they're up to date. And they'll say, "This is the product. This is how you apply it." And so we undertook that project ourselves. So
yeah, great.
Lower playground turf repair. You'll see on the left they mistakenly put the seam right next to the swings. So every child that drags their feet has done that to the seam. So what I did is I've replaced it and moved the seam away from where the swings were.
And that was an area that wasn't replaced that long ago.
Yeah,
So-
I remember. Like 3 years ago.
I mean, the children, come on, what are they swinging on the swings? They're dragging their feet?
Busy.
Can't take them anywhere. Can't do anything nice.
This is a similar situation on the manor roof. Poor application of a product. A lot of those products were sprayed on, and I don't think there was much quality control done on them. So those areas there, water is basically there 12 months of the year. There's water because it slopes down into there, so it just compromises the coating, and that's why we tore all that out and then replaced it with a new silicone product.
Can I ask just a simple question?
Yeah.
When this happens, is there an inspection that occurs, or do you wait for a leak to say something's wrong with the roof?
You should always walk a roof.
Okay, just making sure that we're doing that.
No, if it was doing roof work, I'm walking the roof.
All right,
yeah.
great.
That's also something that I will do at times. He's laughing because he knows that they've caught me in different places.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
We've learned not to leave ladders unattended on our campuses.
Yeah, that's
always good.
That's good.
Because
that
of
means
Chris?
more money.
More because of me.
So there's some staining and compromised stucco there at Wade Thomas. It was actually caused by downspouts on the runoff roof at the top not running all the way out to the gutter, and given wind-driven rain comes out the downspout and the wind I surmise is blowing it over the side, so you're getting that staining which has been there for I don't know how long. So we applied elastomeric caulk and we bleached it, and then we put in elastomeric paint, 2 coats. And there was another area by the NPR there where there'd been graffiti and there was like 3 different colours of the red paint, the Wade Thomas red. that were on there, so we took care of that as well, the NPR. Moving forward, we're going to get try and get away from multiple paint colours on canvases and get it more unified. This is the result of a decomposing tree trunk in the lower playground at Wade Thomas. I think Chris discovered this, and there was also a yellow jacket's nest in there as well, coming out of the asphalt. So we tore it up and cleaned it off, and we only found that in early August. We discovered that in early August, so we rushed to get that done before school started. So we also worked on some campus beautification projects. We started at Wade Thomas and Whitehall this year. Not only for the curb appeal, but we also want to reduce the man hours spent on weed whacking and landscaping and making these areas easier to manage in the future. So we started at Wade Thomas. First day of school, it makes a difference. Similarly with some of these structures, there hasn't been any painting done on them, so they were starting to get some dry rot. So I cut the beams back, and you might not be able to see from that photo, but we've actually installed a flashing over the top to prevent it getting wet in the future. And we've also put in some solar panels for lighting in there as well. So that's at the Whitehall, at the gym scenario. And once again, beautification project of the courtyard there. It looks so much better and it's so much easier to manage. The restrooms, we painted and reglazed all the tile in there, replaced all the fixtures. We're now getting, as you can see from the sinks there, we're having the same sinks, the same faucets. Everything's going to be uniform throughout all our schools. So it just makes it easier for the maintenance department. So we don't have to go, what sort of faucet have they got there? What do we need to put there? So it looks a lot cleaner. And we're putting the same colour in all our restrooms as well. The same center glaze product.
And that's the same tile on both sides.
Yeah.
So, yeah, those are just the difference between the boys and girls restrooms, I think, there. But the tile was the same, and all they do is they glaze over the top, and it maintains and holds for quite some time. So.
And easier to clean too, right? Regular maintenance.
Totally. Yeah.
What happens over time is the grout actually becomes a place for bacteria to get. It's porous, and the Santa Glaze product kind of covers that up and doesn't allow it to get into the pores any longer.
So these were not the only projects we tackled over the summer. Similar products on all our campuses, but all these undertakings were not just repair and replace, but we wanted to improve conditions in these areas to prevent further deterioration. That preventative maintenance mindset, and every year we're going to build on what we did this year. We started with the campus beautification. Next year we'll do some more areas at Whitehall. It's a bigger campus. We'll start doing something at Manor or Brookside. We're just going to build on that, and then as you said, we're going to tackle some CapEx projects next summer, the most pressing ones, and we'll after the walkthroughs over the upcoming month, we'll end up doing if you have any suggestions or anything that you'd like us to work on or embrace, then feel free to let me know.
Great.
One of the things, kind of going back to your question, that we do every year is, and this is done by Des, he does what's called a facility inspection tool, a FIT. We call it a FIT report. And he does a walkthrough of every campus, and we look at everything. And they're having us look at floors, asphalt, looking for peeling paint.
When do you do that each year? Is it just randomly?
No, so I did the first two over the Christmas holiday. This year, Chris wanted me to go to summer, so I just completed them 2 weeks ago. So, and I'll write them up. It's a great reference for me, Ryan, because I can write out and I can give some things that my building manager can take care of, and then some things that Johnny can take care of. Mm-hmm. And from when I first started here, I checked the previous 3 Williams Act report, and there was very little done from year to year. Mm-hmm. And we're starting to make inroads into that. But like ceiling tiles, imagine ceiling tiles. So you're in the manor NPR, and we re-screwed all these ceiling tiles. You come back this year, well, the glue started to lose its adhesiveness on the ceiling tiles, so they're coming down. Like, so sometimes it's never ending. But but it's a good reference point for us. You know, I can go to Johnny and say, put them into school, dude. We open every door and every sink. You run the water to make sure nothing's leaking. So it's good for us to know, you know, not just what we're doing, it's what we're not doing, you know. So it'll be every summer. Do you want to join me next year?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would say that the reason I like to go on this, and I really got a lot out of it the last time, and to my trustees who haven't seen kind of what you see when you go on these tours, is, first of all, the economy of scale. Massively important for what you're saying. I mean, it makes a lot of sense for In-N-Out Burger to have the same straw dispenser at every In-N-Out Burger. So if they're short a straw dispenser in the unit over here, they just take one from the inventory and they throw it in there. It's going to match, and it matches. No one cares what color the paint is compared to, you know, Wade Thomas and Whitehill or Manor. If the color of the girls' bathroom is acceptable in one, and we can buy paint of scale and use it all the time, we don't have that duplication or that time to go color match, or that school needs a certain thing. Being in charge of 6 different facilities. And maintaining 6 different facilities, obviously, an economy of scale is what we're looking for. I would think, as trustees, to make sure we're saving dollars where we can by having, you know, buying more of the same sinks, so that the faucet replacement hinges or flaps or whatever are universal for all of our spaces, and not each place being universal. So as we build out these places with that in mind, it can be really efficient. And like I said, no one at one campus knows that the paint is the same, and no one should have any, you know, I don't think that should be the problem. And when I did go on the tour, and I talked to all the maintenance guys and all the staff, and got their perspective on how things are going, it was a little different, you know, and it wasn't as, it was very old school. It was very, we know what we're doing, we're not, you know, I do this, I don't need you to tell me how to do this, I got it. And I think that's why things get missed, is because it's not a team. You know, there's a good leader maybe, and not good followers, or followers are telling messages going up, and that's not being picked up. Because, so I'm really excited to see and hear that the unit is working as a whole, because with good oversight and good backing, because eventually, if you can retain the people that do this type of work in your school system, you really save a lot of money over a long haul, rather than reinventing the wheel with new people and getting them up to speed with the institutional information that each facility takes. So I hope you stay a long time, and your staff stays a long time, and you really get what you need to keep this going, so that in the long haul, we will save a tremendous amount of money with good planning.
Well, I want to appreciate our M&O staff, as well as our billing managers and custodials, because we are a district that has a really lean operation. And so to have the economies of scale, to have the team kind of work that goes on with the back and forth and in and out accordion style communication is really beneficial and helpful, to know that if there is an issue going on, that it is reported, handled if it's appropriate for that person's position, but reported if it's not. And the School Dude that Des mentioned is our online ticketing system for knowing that when something has to be fixed or repaired or that kind of thing. So it also helps to create a streamlining of the work orders that are occurring and to have a recording system with those.
And I also appreciate that you are very hands-on with a lot of this stuff too. And the discovery of, everybody working as a team. So I want to give you some credit on that too. And it's actually really comes into play when that big water comes. We're only as good as our planning.
Yep.
And we're only as good as our preparation. And if you haven't done it, well, we're going to see it and then we're going to pay for it.
Yep.
So and I think, Ryan, to your point of lessons learned too, I don't think had the realization of that flood that we experienced at White Hill 2 years ago, of what comes down off of the hills. But now that's part of the regular queue, is to make sure that the areas that are not even close to the school are checked out.
Yeah.
To make sure that if we do experience a heavy rainfall and or there's a lot of foliage that dries and falls and comes down, that they're taking care of it.
Yeah. Normal. Yeah.
Routine and planned. Well, thank you.
Without further ado, that's really the entire presentation. So he has been very, very busy, as you can see.
Yes.
So you want to come for a walk through Ryan, 5:30, okay? Wait, Thomas.
I'll beat you there. I do get tired at these meetings, but I am up early.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Safe drive home.
Thanks.
They say 5:30 where?
White Hill.
White Hill.
I think he's joking.
I know, but I think I should just surprise him.
So next item on our agenda are consent actions. So let's see, it's like we have one item on there. It is for the recommended approval of personal actions as presented. Did anybody have any questions, comments? Do we need to go out for public comment?
Yes.
All right. Any public comment? No public comment? Okay. Any discussion, questions?
No, it's pretty clear.
I will entertain a motion then.
A second.
I'm entertaining it.
Oh, sorry.
Are you not entertained, Chris?
Sorry. Does somebody want to put forth the motion?
I'm compromised over here.
That was well played.
So, I still don't know the exact words to say, so what do I need to say?
I move that we
approve the consent action items.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, with a motion and a second. Daniel?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Ryan?
Aye.
And Rachel, aye. And on to board business. So this is where we get to report on our committee updates and reports and announcements from the trustees. So does anybody have any events or committee updates that they've attended recently?
We had 2 weeks ago, right? So we reported out on E2, right?
We did.
Last time.
But we did go to back to school night for White Hill after that, if you went.
I was going to report on that. I was going to report on what we're going to do tomorrow, which is going to go to some facilities checks with this.
And Chris and Mercy and Daniel. So tomorrow. Too. Yeah.
And having just the ability to jump on those things. And I think he's doing a great job, but I think that that's really as important as anything that we do here. And sometimes I don't think other boards really did it as much, but I got so much out of it that there'll be a good report back on the next one. So I'm looking forward to that.
Great.
Yeah, I attended the round table among the parent, the PTOs, PTAs of the schools, and so that's fascinating, trying to figure out how we become more equitable across all the schools, and whether it's pooling resources or sharing resources, knowing that participation drops with White Hill, as funding participation of parents. So it's interesting, challenging, but a lot of people seem to be committed to that. The equity of the parent organizations and how do you raise the money and where does that money go to. So, and then based on Ryan's recommendation, I attended the White Hill back to school night. It was exceptional, as Ryan said. So if anybody's listening, or even if you don't have kids, I told my wife, I think we should do something at the elementary school level for 4th or 5th grade parents to actually attend the White Hill back to school night as well as a promotion of what it's going to be like the next year, because it's really exciting. They do a great job, and it was well run. The teachers we interacted with and met were fantastic. And so I think there's something that maybe we could do to promote that among the fifth grade families early on in their fifth grade tenure before they may start looking. I don't know when parents may start looking at other schools or other options. But we got a lot of things to sell with Whitehill. It's exceptional. And how do we get parents to realize that sooner rather than as a sixth grade parent just going there for the first time during that back to school night?
Open house.
Open house, sorry, yeah, open house in the spring. But I wonder if you could do that sooner. Right, it was
Theirs
nice
is early. Theirs is one of our earliest scheduled, always, yeah. And the back to school night might be they'd have to really change it up a bit because, as you know, like the elementary, it's geared towards hearing what your child is getting in that and running through their schedule. But there may be a way to do it a little differently.
Well, yeah, and I thought it was interesting not even having kids there, just like what's going on in Mr. Wade's music class and what's going on in Mr. O's science class and how does he introduce it? And so that just gave me a lot of positive energy that, man, other parents should know well before even going, because we all have our kind of...
It's a good point in regard to, remember how we're talking about marketing and making sure we're opening up the community. There's nothing better, in my opinion, that we offer than selling ourselves, or, you know, the children are looking at the teachers, are looking at the parents, are all interacting in a moment that's elevated. It's a very elevated moment.
And so it's not just targeting, you know, new student orientation, right? You're actually attending classes as if you were a student there and doing it at the university. That's a big selling pitch to incoming students. Attend a real class, see what it's going to be like. That's why you would choose that university, because you may do that class sit-in at multiple universities. And so that's successful at that level, and I think it could be successful in middle school level.
Good idea.
Happy to talk to John and Mary Claire about doing something, that will allow that. They could switch up their preview night, because that's coming up, which is for incoming families for next school year. And that's the way they run that is very similar to a back to school night, where they go through a day in the life of a sixth grader, but they go through the whole program, 7, 6, 7, and 8, and then they talk about the clubs and activities and everything that Whitehill has to offer, and that has been super well attended. So that is coming up. I don't have the date off the top of my head right now, but that is coming up too in the fall.
Good.
So there would be that opportunity to see that, but always looking for ways to enhance the opportunities for families to get to the schools. And then we do have a day where the kids actually go as well. To the school site.
Well, that's good.
And they do have due dates and things like that. So in the meantime, if families want to go during the day and see what like school looks like during the day, they're absolutely welcome to go when the kids are on campus running through their classes.
No? Okay, so I actually also attended the Whitehill Back to School night. Actually ran into Daniel at one point and said hi in passing. But I have to say that it's so impressive to sit through it, because most of the teachers, I think, had mini lessons planned. It was a sample of what they teach our children in class, and it was really interesting and exciting and kind of fun. Like they put forth a really great effort, and I know that those are not easy nights, and that's not easy to put together a separate lesson just for us. But in some cases, I went home and I talked to my child, and the things that we had done, they had done in class like a few weeks ago. And so she's like, "Oh, you did this thing with the shark." Yes, we did. And so there were just like cool things that they showed us what they're doing in the classrooms with our kids, and it was
they do that 5 or 6 times on that night, one for each period.
Yeah, so it was fun, and it was fun to see where they're sitting. It was fun to see the other families that are there too. So we had a really great experience at Back to School night. So just kudos to all those teachers who put the effort in for that. It was a whirlwind of 2 hours of jumping from class to class to class. I was like, whew, this is a lot, but it was great. I learned a lot. I feel like I have a good grasp of what my kids are learning in that school. So that was great.
And the opening, too, that was in the courtyard this year was really rousing with Parent Club and Yes, which they've done at the elementary sites, too, which is joined together and talk about the fundraising efforts and what Parent Club fundraises for and what Yes fundraises for. And they got a lot of audience participation and interaction. It was really great to have the call out to the group by either Parent Club or by Yes, and then to have the response. It was a very exciting night. Agreed.
So I also attended the Yes board meeting that they had last week, and so that was pretty well attended. I was surprised. I was on Zoom because I had things going on that day, but I did attend. They went over just kind of some things that they're trying to get their board to publicize, I guess, such as like Prop 28, which gave funding to public schools, some public schools for arts and music programs starting up. But there was some clarification that went into that because not every school district is going to get all the money for that. They've kind of figured out how they're going to distribute that money, and they're still in that process. And probably Chris and Marcy know far more about that than I do. But the point was is that they don't want people not donating to Yes because they said Prop 28 just passed, so you're already getting funding for arts and music, because it's not going to be like a windfall. We will get some money, but it's not going to be as much as,
We don't know yet if we'll get any money. They're still creating the guidelines, and they won't be out until February, I believe, 24?
February or March, yeah.
February or March of 24. So we don't know yet if our district will receive any of the funds from Prop 28. So it was really a proposal that was put forth to the voters to create art and music programs in districts where there weren't any, but I, as a voter, voted for it, but I did not understand that it was to create programs. I thought it was to support districts, and knowing that our district relies so heavily on our Yes Foundation to do its amazing work to fund our art and music programs, I thought it would be help supporting so that Yes could continue their work, but potentially fully fund all of our arts and music programs. So, but we have yet to see. There's still a lot of workings on, and that's what typically happens at the state level as things are passed, whether it's by vote of the public or by legislature. And then we have to deal with what the trailer bills and or the guideline language is, and then we learn how it impacts our schools. So we're still waiting on that.
Yeah. So I guess the point was is that they were trying to make sure that the Yes board members understood that this isn't necessarily a windfall, that we may or may not get money from it, and so that it is still essential that parents and families donate to Yes. That was kind of like the messaging that they're trying to work on right now. We got a financial snapshot. They are on track with their donations so far to our district, which is wonderful. They've had a very strong start with their business partners. And so they're very pleased about that. There are some art and music or art and theater updates. TK art classes have begun this year, and they're going really well.
And music too, art and music.
And music and art. So it's wonderful. It says that the teachers, they're having to buy different materials to deal with the little ones because they're so much smaller and younger, and you don't want them to do stuff. See, they are trying to schedule annual family night art nights at all the different schools, and they're trying to configure it in a way that makes it easier so you can get a large amount of families and parents there and kind of lessen the burden on the art teachers, because preparing for those is a big lift, and so they're trying to figure out how to work it out so we can show off what the kids are learning and have them participate with their families at the schools, but kind of also make sure it's not too much effort on anybody's part. There is a Red Hill art display right now. There's like a big glass case with a bunch of artwork from, I believe, White Hill Middle School students, or it might be all the schools.
Where, in the shopping center?
So, yeah, in the shopping center. There's like
over by Lark Shoes, I think is where the case is, by the old where Chase Bank was.
Just down from like the restaurant there, so yeah.
It's a cool pair of old Jordans in there. Artistic rendering.
Really?
So the theater at White Hill has begun their fall play. They're doing Shakespeare 12th Night, and they have, I think, 50 kids registered, and their kid tech is full at 14. They'll be performing later this year. And Victoria George performed at the Live on the Avenue performance in San Anselmo last week, and she donated part of that to Yes, which was lovely of her, and she's also on the Yes board. And then there was a Creekside Tommy Breeze Dine and Donate event last night, where there were Amy's Drive-In, Creekside, and Tommy Breeze kind of all helped and kind of joined together to do a collaboration and raise some money for Yes. And then just going forward, they're talking about starting at parties with a purpose again, which is a great way to fundraise. It was kind of like a parent or some group of people will come up with an idea to fundraise, they will set it all up, and then they will basically just donate the money to Yes. They will do all the work for it, advertise it, and then they'll just donate the monies to Yes at the end. And so that's been very successful in the past, and because of COVID, it had kind of gone by the wayside, but they're trying to bring those back. So if you have a unique creative idea, hit up the Yes people. They're are probably interested in it and would be welcome. And then there were, discussion about possibly going and doing another yes auction. There's not, when I left, I hadn't heard any naming or decisions on that.
I think they just formed a subcommittee that night.
Okay. And then there was some talk about Battle of the Bands, and then they're working on a new payment integration system to make it a little easier, because sometimes I know I've had people talk to me about issues with using a mobile device to pay and having some glitches and having to go to a computer. So they're working on making that easier to get money. And other than that, I attended a presentation by the Asian Pacific Islander School Board Member Association organization. It's a PISMA. I'm half Asian Pacific Islander, so it doesn't usually look like it to most people, but it is something that is in my family history background, my upbringing. And so I've joined that organization, and they do presentations probably once a quarter. This one was specific to from surviving to thriving. It was family engagement strategies to support AAPI students in times of turmoil, and they were specifically addressing this one was a different one. It was about the unique barriers to Southeast Asian students and their families, and that was geared towards people who had immigrated or were like first or second generation, and how there were social structures that were making it challenging for those students being raised in that culture. And just there were 3 speakers, and they kind of from different areas, and they were talking about how they had cultural difficulties because some of them, there was an idea that the women shouldn't go to college. They should stay home and take care of their elders or the younger children. And so there's just like the woman who was speaking had gone on to get much higher education, and it was just like her trying to struggle to get better grades in school and to get the support she needed, and how that we may not, there is the concept of the model minority, being an Asian student, and just assuming that they're going to do well. And so it was kind of talking about how that's not always the case, and that it is a myth, and that there are things that you can look for and find out if there are barriers there that we don't know about. So it was just a nice, interesting perspective to see and hear from these 3 different individuals and hear their very different stories. And then there are 2 other things coming up. At their CSBA AAC meeting, they're going to have like a breakfast. So I have the links to the recording for that. If anybody's interested, just let me know and I'll forward you the video from it, because they recorded the whole thing on Zoom. It was just really interesting, thoughtful, and I think those were all the things I went to. Yes, okay.
And I forgot to add, last weekend we had the Bear Bash at Brookside. It's a yearly gathering that brings the families together for just, you bring dinner, you put out a blanket. We rented a snow cone truck. There was a giant popcorn machine. There was face painting. There was a photo booth.
A legit DJ?
Legit DJ that lit the neighborhood up. I got texts going, Macarena? Kids were dancing on the basketball court. The joy was palpable. It was amazing. Great turnout. We thought no one was going to come because of the soccer tournaments that were going on all over the place. But it was a great turnout. And right at the 7:30 mark, everyone who could walk picked up garbage, and I went back the next morning, and it was impeccable. I was very happy. So it was a good event.
Nice community building, which is where we want to get to, Daniel,
That's right.
in our roundtable meetings, is to focus, let's get our interim roundtable agreement finalized so we can focus on the site sharing their best practices, not only for fundraising, but also for community building activities and events. So, great. Glad to hear your first one at Brookside went awesome.
Yeah,
it was pretty great.
It was fun.
My husband was like, what's going on at Brookside? I'm like, I don't know. Hold on. All right, so I think we're all done. Okay, so moving on, we have the approval of the regular meeting minutes for September 13th, 2023. Do we have any public comment on this? No? Okay. Any questions, discussion? All right, nothing, saying nothing. I will entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes for September 13th, 2023.
All right, we have a motion. We have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, thank you. So, Chris?
Aye.
Daniel?
Aye.
Brian?
Aye.
All right, Rachel, aye. All right, so the meeting minutes are approved. And moving on to superintendent and cabinet report.
All right, we'll start off with Director of Student Services, Eric Sabe.
Had a great meeting with the White Hill teachers this afternoon as kind of the first half of their Wednesday meeting time, and shared a presentation that a bunch of us on the special ed team have been working on for some months. Really looking at what's going on in the realm of inclusion, kind of the pathway from initial intervention to assessment, and then the role of the general ed teacher on the special ed team and in the IEP process. It's just super fun, and just a really tremendous group of educators who, and all of us as a whole public education system are always having to, explore what's the least restrictive setting to support all our students. And now, the law has made that even more clear in terms of really obliging IEP teams to really look at it from a multidimensional perspective, not just, academic benefit. So it was great, and I'll be taking that same content to the elementary schools throughout the fall. So I appreciate the White Hill folks making time for that. And I think that's about it for now.
All right, thank you. And Assistant Soup of Ed Services, Julia. Okay.
Yeah, lots going on in the realm of professional development. We have kind of a series, the K2 program that we're using for phonics is called Foundations, and so we've been sending all of our new teachers to the Foundations training, and the training was really good, and so now we're sending kind of our newer teachers, and now more and more teachers are signing up, even those who've been using the program for a while. I think that with all of the information and understanding of science of reading research, teachers are taking a kind of a fresh look at this curriculum that we've been using for a really long time because it is so well aligned with current practices, and really just want to be sure that they're using the program with fidelity and getting everything that they can out of the program. So that's been neat. And then we also have teachers attending a training called Orton-Gillingham, which is a method really of teaching early literacy. It's a highly, highly well-respected method, and is seen as the best way to address learning needs of students who may have any kinds of difficulty with reading. So we've had, some teachers have had Orton-Gillingham training. It's a 5-day training, 40 hours. It's a really extensive training. And some have done that on their own in the past, so we've had that knowledge within our district. And then this past summer, because Hidden Valley has partnered with the Multitudes Project, which is that pilot dyslexia screener, so they had access to the training. And so there were 3 or 4 Hidden Valley teachers that attended, and our instructional coaches attended in the summer. And now MCOE is running their own Orton-Gillingham training, or they brought people in to run that training. And our district was allotted, I think, 4 spots, but then we begged for another one and we got one. And so all of our intervention teachers are receiving that training, as well as some classroom teachers and one of our special education teachers, resource teachers. So just really good work there, which does a beautiful job of setting the stage for our October 9th Professional Development Day that's coming up. And the focus again for elementary on that day will be reading instruction. And Jessica Hammonds from Glean Education, that's who we're partnering with, she's coming back to work with our teachers. So in August, if you remember, she just kind of did an overview of early literacy instruction, signs of reading, and just kind of set the stage and made sure that everyone's speaking the same language and has access to the same knowledge. And now this round, I met with her last week and saw the slide deck she's going to be using, and it's a really deep dive into reading assessment that I think is going to be fantastic and probably is going to kind of generate a lot of conversation and some grappling with our current reading assessments, and are there some shifts that we want to make sure that we're doing absolutely the best that we can by our students. So I'm super, super excited about that day. Middle school is going to continue the work that they've been doing around priority standards. I recently attended one of their staff meetings where they were showing some of this work, and then actually I met with the math department today, and they were having this really fantastic, robust conversation about, particularly in mathematics, there are so many standards. And I know it's been said that were you to teach every math standard from the Common Core that one is meant to teach between kindergarten and 12th grade, we would need a K-25 school system. It doesn't fit. And so when we talk about priority standards work, we're really saying, well, what is it that is the most important, critical understanding that we want every student to leave a grade level with? And then they're also talking about how do you really make sure that you're meeting the needs of all of your kids, knowing that within every classroom, there's a wide range of learners. And so they also, the math department is working with Mary Claire Mullen, the White Hill principal, and myself, because Mary Claire and I were former math teachers at White Hill. And so this is very close to our heart. But we've got a release day coming up, and the focus of that day is on differentiation and really using assessment data to develop strategy groups and target skills and support kids. So very excited about that work. We also tomorrow have our instructional coaches are running a TK release day. And so all of our TK teachers are getting together, and I'll be there for part of that day. The first part of the day, one of our principals, Julie Harris, and I are attending a county TK training for administrators. And we're really excited about that. And if you attend the training, you get to have hours of this expert's time to come and visit our TK classrooms and advise us. So I'm excited about that as well. And I think that we are getting closer to being done with hiring, but I don't think we'll ever be done. We've had some wins, we've had some disappointments, but we're still working at it every day, right, Eric? Eric is exactly very right. Engaged in that as
Working
well.
on it right now as we speak.
Did you just send another email? Yeah. And that is it from me. Thank you.
All right, and then we did cover under the trustee updates, so I won't repeat those, but yes, board meeting, White Hill Back to School Night Roundtable. And so I want to just talk about Target River for a second. That is the marketing group that you all approved in the spring to come in and help us with our enrollment campaign. And so today they finished the second of the last of 2 days, final day of their visits to at each of our campuses to do videos as well as still photos. And they are on track to begin their enrollment campaign for us for the 24-25 school year, which is set to go live on November 1st. And so we're on track with that, and it was great. I did get to meet the videographer yesterday out at Manor School, and Diego Huarcaya is from Target River, and it was great just to watch him engage with the kids and get those best photos. And so the next phase we'll also be going through is to make sure that we have photo releases for all of the kids who will be shown in our campaigns for that. But that's on track, so really excited about that. And then also, as we talked about a little bit earlier, but tomorrow is our first day for our site trustee tours of each of the schools. So tomorrow we'll be at White Hill and Manor, And then it rotates because, as you all know, with the Brown Act, we can have no more than 2 trustees at a time at any one of the events. So we're doing multiple tours, and Chris and Des and I will be participating on all of them. And if Des gets called away for something, then that's understandable. Then Chris and I will be there. Or if Chris gets called away, then Des and I will be there. So, so we'll be looking forward to those. We'll be wrapped up with our last one, the end of October. 31st actually is our last one with Chris. Yeah, waited till you were more mobile to be able to get you around.
I'm out there. I'm just slow.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't
Well,
want
that's
to
okay. Yeah. So because White Hill's a larger campus, we're only fitting in 2 campuses on that day. So White Hill and Manor, since their proximity is so close, and we'll do Brookside, Hidden Valley, and Wade Thomas on its own day. But we should be able to get through those in roughly 2 hours. So looking forward to those. And the other things that we have starting up soon is our extended learning opportunities program. The YMCA has, Chris was working with them to be able to implement the program, so it's part of the extended learning opportunities monies that are coming from the state to provide extended learning opportunities for children in TK through 6th grade. So one of the reasons it's taken us a little bit longer this year to get started is because there weren't enough families from White Hill interested in participating, so they're not able to have the program for the 6th graders on the White Hill campus. So YMCA had to do some work to see that they'd be able to transport the kids who are participating from White Hill to Manor School. So that'll be operating there for the TK through 6 and then our other schools. So it's a program that's free for students who are in certain of our unduplicated populations, so socioeconomically disadvantaged, English learners, and foster youth, and unhoused. And so the families where they will have first priority. If there is space, we will be able to open it up to other families who may not qualify in one of those categories, but it would be a fee for service in that event that occurs. So we're looking forward to getting that rolled out sometime this fall. It should be starting soon. We're just working on the communication that'll go out to families.
When you say fee for service, what do you mean exactly?
That means if families who don't qualify under one of the 4 categories, if they would like their child to participate, they can, but they would have a fee that they would charge. So kind of like similar to the after-school program for families at each of our elementary schools. And then part of the ELOP program is that it provides basically a 9-hour day for kids between school and the aftercare program, as well as 30 days during other non-student days throughout the year. So we're getting the final dates of when the Y will be running that as well. So we have the full information to provide the families when we do communicate with them. So we'll come back with an update once it's up and running, and I'll be able to talk about this specifically. It's a place for the kids to go. They can get homework help. There's activities, snacks, just a great opportunity for families to have their kids do something after school and to extend their learning. All right, I think with that, that's it.
Thank you. So that concludes, I guess, the rest of our regular portion of our open meeting. We did not finish our closed session items, so we will need to recess back into a continuation of our closed session at this time. So I will excuse those of you who do not need to be here. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you. So 7:58.
So 7:58, I will recess us to closed session. All right, it is 9:03 and we are reconvening open session. Report out from closed session is that we took action on one item for a special education program dispute, student SSID 151287075. On the other item in closed session that we did not already take action on, number 3, which was public employee evaluation title superintendent, no action was taken. And this next item on our meeting is future board topics and board direction. Does anybody have anything they would like to say, add, comment on for future board topics or board direction?
We have nobody.
Right, and seeing no public here and there's no public comment. Meeting debrief, any comments? No? Yes, no? Okay, cool. So there's no need to do a motion past 10:30. And as board clerk, I am going to adjourn this meeting at 9:04.